There we go. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope this mic is working. There we go. There we go. It is working. Notre Dame. Hell of a thing to wake up to. Notre Dame burning. Oh, look at that tiny little flicker of a flame they're showing now. What does this mean? Notre Dame is burning. What do you mean? What does it mean? History going up in smoke. Exactly. 800-year-old cathedral. Well, at least all the marble work, or is that cement work? I don't know what Notre Dame is actually made out of. Should survive, will survive, and they can rebuild. It's just man, that look at that. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? If I put a poll out there, would people really buy that Notre Dame, which has stood for 8 centuries, would happen to go up in flames during Holy Week, during this time of tension, this time of terrorism, this time of so much political division in France? Does anyone really think this was an accident? I mean, if you had to put money on it, if it was your hard, cold cash, and you were forced to put a bet down on it, who would you bet is to blame for this? I want to hear it in the chat. I haven't heard anything yet about it being terrorism, but it's definitely plausible. Yeah, I mean, what? Somebody was smoking inside of Notre Dame, threw a cigarette inside of a trash can? I didn't think so. I don't think they smoke inside of the cathedral. I'm guessing that's not. I blame Obama. I don't know if I'd blame Obama. The restoration crew. I think it was an accident by the restorations they are doing on it, but really, I bet it's terrorism. If I had to put any amount of money on this, I would probably put 70% on jihadists, maybe 25% on socialists, communists, Antifa, whatever they want to call it over there, and about 5% likelihood of it being an accident. Now the question is, who's going to take the credit, the blame, the credit? Obviously, the Protestants are back at it again. Yes. The Protestants have just been torching churches all over the world. Oh, wait, no, that's Islam. Yeah, there you go. Who has been to blame for the torching of the most churches in the past 50 years? Probably the past century. And France is overrun by Muslim refugees. And this is the day after Palm Sunday. That is one thing that Muslims, jihadists, I'm not going to say all Muslims, jihadists love to do is attack at holy times, right? This is Holy Week. I don't think they could have gotten in there and lit a fire during services on Palm Sunday. It makes me sad. There have other churches in France being vandalized, burned for the past 3 months. Really? There have been? Oh, we should look that up. We really have no idea why it burned. No, we don't. This is all speculation, Dr. Fantastic. Speculation and trying to think historically when, why, and who does these kinds of things. And if it's not an accident, I think we have a fairly good. Notre Dame was already sold to Muslim investors. So you're saying they did it for the insurance money, Dr. Deck Fantastic? That's a funny thing here. I have a Vietnamese friend here who says that like Vietnamese restaurant owners and stuff, like when they want to like upgrade their restaurants, sometimes they'll just burn them down for the insurance money so that they can remodel. So, Vietnamese, man, they're like the mafia. Many churches in France have been attacked by Muslims. I'm gonna look that up. Give me a second. I don't think we should throw blame around yet. Let's wait. Be sure Islamists have been burning a lot of churches all over the world. Yeah, I'm not absolutely blaming anybody. What I'm doing is speculating. Let's see. Muslims burning churches in France. Muslims burning churches in France. It's the first thing that pops up. Islam versus Europe. Where Islam spreads, freedom dies. Muslim attack churches in France. Let's see. It's got before Muslims, after Muslims. Jeez. All right, maybe that's not a good one. Islam burning churches in Niger. Why are Muslims burning churches in Egypt? France. Muslim sets church on fire, spray Allahu Akbar on side. France. Catholic churches vandalized, set on fire, smeared. 10 years of Sharia jihad in France and the imperial peace. Oh my gosh. This is interesting. Oh, the site can't be reached. What's going on with my internet? That's the second time today. Why are Muslims... Oh, that's a Yahoo question. Why are Muslims burning our churches and our Christian houses of worship? French tensions, slashing, church fires, profaned mosque. Oh, this is... let's see, when is this from? January 11, 2016. French tensions, slashing, church fires, profaned mosque. Profaned mosque. French authorities are investigating the slashing of Jewish teacher in Marseille and the torching of 2 churches and the profanation of a mosque elsewhere in France. Heightened religious tensions. Christians protest burning Pakistan churches. Muslim mobs attack 10 church buildings in Ethiopia. Niger protesters burn churches in second day of Charlie riots. Pope Francis mourns as Christians die and churches burn in Egypt. Yeah. All right. I don't need to get into all that. Yeah. Ooh, that's through a stained glass window. Gosh, I wonder what it's. Yeah, that's crazy. That's inside all the stone structure. I wonder if it's just going to end up gutting the entire interior of Notre Dame. That is sad. Let me pop this chat out. Notre Dame was structurally compromised. Oh, so you're thinking that without the bones, they may have to tear the whole thing down. That would suck. You heard that too about the Vietnamese? I did a lot of work for Vietnamese in Houston. Also, synagogues in France have been burnt. Yeah. What's up, Matt Fowler? Muslim gangs in Africa burn down churches all the time. Yeah, Africa, Egypt, Europe. It's happening in Europe. And this is, you know what? This is a big church and it's a big target for radical Islamic Christian haters. The news have considered it might have been an attack, but they have said there is no evidence. Well, what kind of evidence are they going to have while they're trying to clean up a fire, unless someone is just out there taking credit for it, taking the blame, taking the credit? We would say blame, they would say credit. There are reports from last year Notre Dame is falling apart. Oh, really? No, this is not the Aloha Snack Bar Hour, Matthew Fowler. Let's see, the end of Nightmare Creatures. Oh, really? All the bronze statues have been moved to storage for renovation? That's cool. That's cool. Look, a silver lining. There is no evidence because it's such a large fire and easy to just say it's an accident. I know, right? I mean, after the fact, after they get everything put out, I guess there's ways to figure out where it started, and you can find out what the ignition point is, possibly. Either that or I watched too many movies. But that's what I've come to understand. So maybe it's possible. Maybe it's possible. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, irreplaceable. This is history. 800 years old. 800 years old. And, it's like, does anyone remember the Taliban destroying all those Buddhist sculptures and carvings, like 1,200-year-old carvings in the hillsides and stuff, and Egyptian, anything that was contrary to their religion. It didn't matter how old it was, how beautiful it was, how, historic it was. They would destroy it. If the Muslims had absolute control over France, they would have converted Notre Dame into a mosque, if not had just destroyed it, because there's so much Christian iconography on it. That's what they do. That's what they did whenever they took over Christian lands. They would destroy or renovate all of the churches to be mosques. And again, they go around destroying everything that's not Islamic. George says it was an attack. I think you're probably right. If I had to bet money, I would bet that way. Why is Muslim architecture looking like a phallus? He's saying, I'm not even going to go there. Saying the Pope mourns is like saying there was no abuse. What? I don't understand that. It's gone, guys. Yeah, it's gone. Gosh, are they gonna have to tear it down? Or, oh man. You know who they need? They need the U.S. Corps of Engineers. Go in there and figure out how to save the outlying structure. I can't think of a more iconic church outside of St. Peter's. Yeah, right. Notre Dame was an easy hit because it was falling apart. Dry kindling makes a quick start. So it's a lot of kindling. Well, that's an interesting thing, saying it's dry kindling. Yeah, there are castles. And this is another thing that always boggles my mind, how well you can preserve things just keeping them out of, like, the elements. Because I've been to Europe. I mean, I've been to Italy, and I've walked on staircases that were, over 1,000 years old. Beams in interiors of structures that are just, I mean, they could have been 50 years old from the looks of them, and from, as long as termites hadn't eaten them away, the wood was still what appeared to be just perfectly preserved, and it could be hundreds, even thousands of years old. Well, not thousands. Although that's what I'm saying. If it's 1,000 years old and it looks like it could have been installed 50 years ago, why couldn't it look that way for 2,000 years or 3,000 years or 5,000 years? Right? As long as it's out of the elements that destroy and rot. 860-year-old wood burns quickly. I don't think they used, they didn't use pine. I wonder what kind of wood they did use. I don't know. It's just a thought that I've had in the past when I was looking at these super, super old structures, and the wood it's just like it's still there. And it's still solid. And it's not all dried, like you're saying, like dried kindling, you know? It's not all cracked and warped or anything. It looked just like brand new. Well, not brand new, but does anyone else know what I'm talking about? Have any of you guys been over to Europe or live in Europe and seen these old ancient structures? I mean, I didn't get to go in, but there was a castle, or I was on the tour with my tour guide, and he took me to the oldest in use structure in, I think it was Rome. Might have been Florence. I think it was Rome. No. Couldn't have been Rome. But it was this old building, and it had like newer buildings like stuck to the side of it. But he's like, the original building, and you could see it, right? Like the stonework and all that stuff. He's all, that was built, I think he said, like 400 BC. And they were still using it as an apartment building, but they had other buildings had been like attached to it since then, or some crap. Like, it was like, what? You could like rent an apartment in a structure that's like that old. It was just insane. According to Paul Joseph Watson, a worker from Ensign said it was on purpose. There you go. I refer to Backdraft. Yes, there you go. I remember. All right, let me jump down to the bottom here. One of the towers is on fire. Yeah, it's flamed on the inside. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is like the entirety of all of the guts, every wooden support beam in that place. I wonder if they're all gonna go up, That's sad. My city has a wall from the mid 13th century, says Spotted Pig. A complete city wall, that is. I'm not going to rely on InfoWars without damn good reason. Indiana as an Indiana Jones sketch. The ceiling of Notre Dame contained 13,000 oak trees cut in the 12th century. An entire forest, essentially. Wow. 856 years. Wow. The church is made of stone. The support comes from stone. The entire interior, though, which is now gone, was wood. What happened? Just got here, young Dark Vader. Notre Dame is burning. It's burning. The entire roof, spires, all of it gone. Well, there's some spires that are made out of stone. Every bit of wood under the roof looks like is gone. And it looks like it is continuing to burn inside of the towers. The skill to reconstruct the internals just doesn't exist. Oh, man. Man, they got to do something to try to save it. They can't just call it a day and let it fall. Doesn't it suck when you're living through history and you're watching it and you're like, it was cool when it was like the Jerusalem thing. right? With the American embassy being moved to Jerusalem. That was the kind of history where you're watching it and you're like, this is history. I'm watching history being made. And it was like this great feeling, this like feels like you're watching a page out of the Bible happen. But then you watch this kind of a history, or like something from, like 9/11 and stuff. And it's just like, this is going to be indelibly burned into my mind. And it's no good. It's no good. Yeah. You know who called me to tell me to turn on my TV? Ed McGuinness on 9/11. Ed and I would talk like every day back then. And yeah, if I remember correctly. I know I talked to him that morning during the whole thing. I think it was him that called me and told me to turn on my TV. I don't know. I'll have to talk to him and ask. Actually, I'm going to text him. You watching Notre Dame burn? Do you have any idea how much that much oak wood would cost? Oh my gosh, in today's dollars, oak is flipping expensive. Did you say 12,000 oak trees? If they were trying to rebuild it with oak, you know what they would probably do? They'd probably try to rebuild it with metal. Yeah, it does. It is sort of a 9/11 feeling, right? Oh, it's grim. Something done by somebody. Attacks of 9/11. Yeah, well, this was clearly something done by somebody. So Elon, Omar, whatever, jackhead face, probably say something like that about this too. Something done by somebody. Man, did they just have one fire truck in that entire city? Holy cow, if this was any city in America, there would be like 6 or 10 freaking hoses blasting into that thing. They've got one guy up there. There isn't enough oak. You can do pine. You can't do pine. Are you kidding me? Elon Omar is probably giggling about this. Rome grown, you are correct. She probably is. A fuzzy creature says, people are going to allege all kinds of stuff, but I'm willing to chalk it up to terrible construction during Holy Week. After 856 years of existence, you're going to chalk this up to an accident during Holy Week, during this time of religious upheaval and Muslim invasion and political upheaval. I mean, I can't imagine even. I mean, you'd have to be a pretty hardcore atheist, Antifa douchebag to do something like this. I mean, even those guys probably respect history. Probably. Hikaru says, I was wondering if they were ever going to get any fire trucks there after watching it burn for a half an hour. I know. Holy Week. Dude, yesterday was Palm Sunday. Next Sunday is Easter. This is Holy Week. For all of Christendom. Catholic, Protestant, whatever it is, for all of Christendom, this is the holiest week of the year. There's 400 firemen there, and they have one hose. What the heck? Yeah, at least respect the artistry. Well, that's what I'm saying. Okay, and I'm not blaming Muslims. I'm just saying there's a consistency of practice here in jihadist Islam and destroying holy things of other religions is kind of top on their list. They love doing that. Wasn't there rioting and vandalism of the Arc de Triomphe a while back as well? Yeah, that was the yellow vests versus the Macron government, but that had nothing to do. I don't think they would have. They would have. I mean, I don't think the yellow vest would have done this at all. But yeah, I can't see this. If this is an act of vandalism, of terrorism, that I can't see it as a political one. It would have to be a religious one. And yeah, Derek FF15 says, saw this on Twitter and wanted to share it. Take comfort in the fact that it's Holy Week. Christianity is premised on resurrection. Well, I'm not really sure how to take that, Derek. Fuzzy Creature says the yellow vest protest, a lot of that has been silenced by world media. Yeah. Igor says French postmodernist philosophers were kid touchers. Their school of thought has been dominant in France since the 60s. Everything about this is symbolic. Nothing is surprising. Blacklist universe. Oh, all right, let me. Dang it! Oh, I know why I have this all like zoomed full size. All right, let's try to get an individual window here. All right, let me get back to live. Oh no, where's all my other windows? What the heck happened to all my other windows? Let's see if I open this up. No, it's just the one window. Where's all weird Google Chrome. Okay. Let me see. Title. Select English. This is gonna be my first D live video. Search for. All right. How do I? Whoa! What the heck?
It was just up.
Share chat. Oh, I guess you can't stream on D Live until you have 200 followers. So I should probably put that in my chat thing. All right, let me get my other window back up. Let me reduce that. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to disrupt this to try to get a D Live video going. Sad as F. Our cathedral has burned twice. Both towers were gutted both times. It can be rebuilt. I hope so, Michael. I hope so. Does anyone know how tall that structure is? I mean, look at the size of that little fireman. You can't even see him in this picture. He's so tiny. That thing has to be, I don't even know. That is a tall. Live streaming now. 220 feet. Wow, that is a tall structure for a 800-year-old building. That's a 22-story building right there. Did the Hunchback make it out? No, Eric, the Hunchback is unfortunately stuck in there. You know, got to go down with the ship. It looks huge compared to the area around it. Yes. 100 meters. I don't speak meters, 8 man. I don't know what you're talking about. This is far out with the tinfoil, but it occurred to me that an event like might take the heart out of protesting. Reichstag. Oh, an event like this might take the heart out of protesting. 300 feet, says Metatron's cube. Can we get an accurate reading on how tall this thing is? Does anyone have an absolute accurate thing on air? They said it was a cause due to the construction workers, nothing else. Well, what they said and what the truth is, we'll find out, I guess. Somebody is shooting a green laser. What the heck? At Notre Dame.
Where?
I just saw it all flickering over here. Oh. Remember when they went into the museum and started destroying the ancient Sumerian statues? Yeah, it's what they do. It's what they do. And I don't know. I'm guessing within the next 24 hours, there will be someone taking claim. You know what? Even if it is an accident, I bet you someone will take claim for it. Over 300 feet. Over 300 feet. The tower height is 69 meters. From Wiki, tower height 69 meters, 226 feet. The Reichstag part solidifies itself, and when they enact laws based on it relating to classification of citizens. Someone of the religion of peace. Don't know. Yeah, start of Holy Week, and this happens. Suspicious. That's why it is suspicious. 1 meter is 328.084 feet. So how many? Oh, you were just spitballing, Bootsy. You can't spitball. I want to know what the actual exact height was. Am I missing something here? Oh, 69 meters, 226 feet. That's what you're saying. Okay. I'm sorry. My eyes are still blurry right now. Sad. Well, let me, I know this has not been your standard cross-examinations because we're just sitting here watching history burn before our eyes. But let me get to the last show and see if there's any comments I have to get to. All right, last episode was Did Jesus Have to Die for Us? Cross-examinations, episode 122. 8 comments. Awig corrects my bad quoting. He says, there are only two kinds of men, the righteous who think they are sinners and the sinners who think they are righteous. Blaise Pascal Penses. No idea about the comic book. All right. Falling into Destiny says, Jesus' feet didn't touch the ground during the rapture, so technically it doesn't count as a second coming. He calls his bride and returns later, putting his foot down onto the mountain, which splits in half, Mount of Olives, for the second coming. Pre-trib here, but I want to be ready anyway, just in case I'm wrong. I don't know. Doesn't that sounds like a little too much like parsing? And again, I don't know if... Oh, I do see a second. Oh, okay, there's two. All right, I see... Here I see water, and here I see water. So that's 2. And then it looks like this over here might be water. So that's 3. They got 3 going that I can see from this angle. So if they have someone over here, they probably have someone over here on the other side that we can't see. So let's... Yeah. Yeah. All right, sorry. Again, I don't know. I don't know for sure, and I cannot say for sure. So I'm not gonna take an absolute case in it. It just seems like that's parsing a bit too much to me. But you could be right. You could be right. P Money says, "Hey Mike, you know I love you. I just can't agree with forgiveness as transaction. I had a client who was abused terribly in his life, and one part of his recovery was to pray to God, forgiving each person on his list of abusers. Doing so was hard for him, obviously." Uh-oh.
Just leave it. Don't have to make a new one.
Problem. Some on that list are dead. If forgiveness is transaction, then he couldn't forgive those people. I conclude your only responsibility is your part in order to get the weight off your shoulders rather than how the other responds. Still love the show. God bless, buddy. I responded, his forgiveness could not restore relationship because they were dead. But if he had sought them out to restore relationship, there would have to be that transaction. God is not dead. You can forgive in your heart, but again, you cannot restore relationship until that transaction is completed. Not completely. All love, brother. Look, it is a French fireman. They are looking at maps. Fancy maps. No? What? Oh, plan of attack. Look at that. One of them drew a very nice drawing, 3D drawing, isometric drawing of the cathedral. Nathan Rosario says, regarding this comment in the chat, paid the debt for me? That's something that robs anybody of their self-esteem, and confidence. I don't believe that self-esteem and self-confidence are biblical concepts, at least not in the manner that they are used in the modern world. According to the Bible, wouldn't anything that encourages people to believe in themselves or feel good about themselves to the point where they don't think they need a savior fall into the category of pride? And isn't pride considered to be one of the deadliest of sins? That is a very good point, Nathan. Yeah, in the modern sense, self-esteem, self-confidence. I don't know. I mean, I think there's a that's a gray area because, like, I will say, like, when I'm inking, right? If I'm throwing a line when I'm inking, I have to have the self-confidence to believe that it is going from here to there. That is a confidence in my skills, trusting in myself. You know, I'm not praying to God with every stroke of the line. Maybe I should. That it will follow the course that I am intending, right? That is self-confidence. And I tell people you have to have self-confidence when you're doing that, because if you don't have self-confidence and you're trying to throw a line like that, your line is going to be all shaky because you're going to be self-doubting. Maybe that's the contradiction, is rather than the opposite of self-doubt, right? So rather than doubting yourself, you have confidence in yourself that you are capable of doing things. And, you know, that comes through oh, hold on. Wow, that was really sad. You have does coming out of Yep. Sorry, texting with a friend. I probably shouldn't be during the show. But is that pride, self-confidence? I don't think that's necessarily the kind of pride where you think you're so good you don't need. Okay, just in a work sense, when you think you're actually, that's a very good point now that I think about it. It would be pride an overabundance of self-confidence that would lead someone to fail to grow as an artist, right? I'm trying to correlate the two here. As an artist, if you think you're so good that no one can teach you anything, then you will never reach your full potential as an artist, right? Because you think you know better than everyone. That's the same thing with your relationship with God, right? You could have confidence in yourself to a point, but if you believe you are the ultimate good, if you believe you are the ultimate arbiter of what is right and wrong and good and bad in your own life, then you will reject God, and then you will never reach that the ultimate purpose of your life, because you're not willing to listen to the guy who created you and created your purpose to begin with, right? So I don't know, the words may be weird, and some people may have different meanings and understandings with the words, but I don't think self-confidence itself is a pride issue. I mean, confidence and pride are not necessarily the same thing. And self-esteem, well, gosh, that seems like more of a psychological thing, because like some people have had their self, you want to have esteem in yourself to the sense that, you don't have negative self-esteem, right? You don't want to be just going around thinking, oh my gosh, I'm the worst, I'm the worst, I'm the worst. You have to have a realistic expectation of esteem, like saying, I am a sinner, I've done bad things. But thankfully, there's a God above who loves me enough to have died for those sins and to pay the price for those. I don't think I don't know. I don't know. This is a case where I think maybe the language is too muddy to give you an absolute black or white answer. You know what I mean? You guys understand what I mean? David Peterson says, I think low self-esteem is an affront to God. It's not believing in your ability to do what God has given you. Yeah, and in addition to that, David, you're made in the image and likeness of God. God created you. The creator of the universe made you as an individual. How can you have low self-esteem unless your esteem has just been beaten out of you by bad parents or bad friends or bad situation? You know what I mean? Right? Your self-esteem should come from knowing that a good, love, just, and powerful God created you for a special purpose. The sun created us. That's wrong, 8-man. The sun actually destroys us. The sun actually destroys us. Yeah, the scaffolding. Yeah. But the scaffolding is metal. As we've learned from 9/11, fire can't melt metal. Dog. All right. Rick Sanctum, answering the question of did Jesus have to die for us, says yes, because he loves the human race and dying was the best strategy to reach them. No, Jesus knew there was there were alternatives. Calling on 12 legions of angels and abandoning the crucifixion was the one he wanted to go with, but the Father learned that his Son was willing to lay down his life. What a great discovery. Jesus might have even thought that the crucifixion wasn't the best option, but he humbled himself. Well, no. The Father cannot learn anything. The Father knows everything. So I would actually answer this question, and here Koro Pucker says, missed it, but the answer is yes. Without his sacrifice, none of us would be saved. I'm going to go with no. Did Jesus have to die for us? No. Point blank. No, he did not have to die for us. Jesus chose to die for us. Jesus loves us and wants us to be saved and wants us to have a relationship with him forever in eternity in heaven. And therefore, did he have to? No. Do I have to feed my kids? No. I mean, I'll go to jail if I don't. But everything is a choice. And Jesus created us, loved us, and because he loved us, he chose to die for us. But he didn't have to. Was there another way to get us all into heaven? Maybe not. Apparently not. I'm going to go with a definitely not actually on that. But did we all have to go to heaven? No. God could have started over. He could have been like, well, none of these people were worthy of, existing with me and my loyal angels in eternity forever. So I'll just create more angels. And the rest of those guys can just go to hell. No. He died for us because he loved us. So, yeah, exactly, Johnny Torch. God could have given us what we deserved, and please pray that that never happens. Jesus gave himself in obedience to the Father. He gave up his fear because you know what? He was afraid. He was afraid. He knew exactly what he was about to go through. The torture and torment. Bootsy, don't talk like that on my stream, please. The torture, absolute torture, having your flesh ripped from your body and then being nailed to a cross and suffocated to death in just absolute agonizing, excruciating pain. He chose. He knew that, and he was afraid, and he said, if there's any other way, let this cup pass from me. But there was no other way. In order that you and I and anyone get to be with him in heaven for eternity, or in eternity in heaven, however it works. I'm always kind of iffy about that. That price had to be paid, and he went willingly to pay that price. It's in the book. I just don't want the language, John Bootsy. The language. This is a G-rated stream. So, and Jesus could have ended the torture at any time, but he chose to go the distance for us in his undying love for us. That is right, Johnny Torture. Facundo Ezekiel is so sad and angry about this. I know. It's like watching the sun go down on Christianity in Europe. The moon will rise. Oof. That's scary. Scary. Well, G-rated-ish. I'm still here, remember. Rome, you're right, because atheists believe in something. Yeah, everybody believes in something. You can't believe in nothing. It's impossible. You can say you believe in nothing, but that just makes you a liar. Yeah, look at that. That's all just from the rising heat. That metal is being turned into slag. Wow. That is a furnace under there. Look at, you can see the slag dripping as it melts. Wow. That is some crazy. How hot? What is it? 1,200 degrees to melt metal? Is that right? To melt? I'm sure that's just, I don't know what kind of metal they make those beams out of. Probably I don't want to say steel. Probably not aluminum. Aluminum would be too soft. Although aluminum is strong and lightweight. It might have been, I don't know. Does anybody know? Aluminum, you think? 1200 degrees to melt steel. I know it's less to melt aluminum. But look at that. Just the fire. No jet fuel necessary. Steel melts at 2750 degrees Fahrenheit. They will be steel. Dang! I'm pretty sure this is going to put some 9/11 truthers to shame, because there's just a fire, and the fire's not even touching it. The fire is 100 feet below it, and it is turning that steel into slag. We use aluminum? Okay, what's the melting point of aluminum? Aluminum will not only melt, but burn. It's hard to set on fire, but it will burn, and very hotly. Woo. Well, it is holy fire. Oh, Derek. You did not have to go there. And, jeez. Incredible. Aluminum, you barbaric Americans. Says Spotted Pig. Oof. But yeah, that, like I said, that's 100 feet below. More so in some of the higher areas, right? Not even touching the fire, and it's melting. Oh boy. Yeah, I live in Canada, so it gets switched back and forth, and I get confused. Berserker Pride. You think it's Celsius? Global stream. That's thermite. Oh, there's 121 people watching Notre Dame burn. So sad right now. You're going to see a terrorist organization celebrating this, and this being reported as arson. Oh, I guarantee you the entire Muslim world, save for maybe some cultural Muslims, are just kicking back and shooting AK-47s in the air or whatever. Just if I were a Muslim in Paris, I wouldn't go out for a month or two. The Muslims in Paris are probably heading there with marshmallows and sticks. The important point here is that that's not steel. What's up is down. Down is up. Bad is good. Good is bad. Life is death. Death is life. Peak clown world. No. Leftists will also praise it on Twitter, no doubt. I don't think so. At least not most. I think most, even most leftists, they understand the value of the art. I mean, that is just a remarkable feat of engineering for something built 8.5 centuries ago, right? I don't think leftists would be celebrating this. At least not most of them. There might be a few freaking dirtbags out there that would. Joe K says, I'm communist and I'm very sad seeing this. There you go. See, I think Joe K is probably typical for leftists. Yeah, so let's not throw them under the bus. I'm sure there are some super crazy, but I think that has more to do with them being crazy than leftists who would support this. Heck, there's probably some extremely... Where the heck is the phone? Oh, jeez. Hello? Yeah, hold on. Can you call her? Hold on a second. I'll give her my phone and she can call you. Okay. I don't know if she's gonna come in here though. I'll give her my phone. All right, bye. Hey, go tell mommy to call Maria. Yeah, I was saying there's probably some crazy, fundamentalists, and I'm a fundamentalist Christian, so don't take this the wrong way, fundamentalist Christians. There's probably some crazy, like, hard core fundamentalist Christians who hate the Catholic Church so much that they would be cheering for this. But again, I think unless you're just extremely, extremely extreme, this makes you sad. You know, the ones that cared about labor rights, not the blue hair ones twittering about comics and movies. I'm not leftist. You said you're a communist. You can't be a communist and not be a leftist. That's a contradiction in terms. Oh, man. This is rough. The difference between communist and a socialist is a gun. Well, it's not the gun. It's the willingness to use the gun to achieve their goals. Look at that rage, dude. Is Michelangelo's Madonna and Child still inside? I don't know. I have no idea. Someone should look that up. Mike, you don't have left in America. But we do. We do, Joe. We do. Socialism is communism with better liars and marketing. Now, socialism and communism both desire the same utopian, what's it called? Egalitarian end goal. It's just socialists are willing to get there through democratic means, and communists are willing to get there by killing people. And I think, Joe K., if you're calling yourself a communist, you should really take a better look at what communism has done. Because the 100 million dead at the feet of communism, not a good look. Not a good look. And if you're not willing to use violence to attain your goals, then you're not a communist. You're a socialist. A socialist votes for a cop to take your stuff. A communist will just kill you or arrest you. That's pretty close to it. Yeah. Hitler wanted to burn Paris. French, they succeeded. Well, some men just want to see the world burn. Yeah. Communism has done democide and economic catastrophes. Yeah, that's why, you know, the Chinese moved away from a purely communist economy, because they saw, oh, wow, we just killed 70 million of our own people. We should probably do something different. I don't mean to laugh at the death of 70 million Chinese, but yeah, it is what it is. Stalin burned and looted churches when in power. Yeah. Yep. Tea and crumpets. Are you illiterate? It's spelled America, and we do have a left. You people are crazy if you think we don't have leftists in America. Odd Dirt says, the issue with commies is simple. From their sight, you're either with them or you're an enemy. Well, I mean, Joe K's in here, and he's having a rational conversation. So that's why I kind of question whether or not he is a communist. Maybe he just doesn't really understand what that means. Joe, we don't swear on this channel. Sorry, brother. Communists aren't people, Mike. But they are, Thomas Fitzpatrick. They are just people who believe something that's really, really bad. Language, please. Yes. Hope the only Madonna. Oh, come on, Gianca. That's not nice. Don't they have contingency plans for fires in Notre Dame? Why is it still burning? Because they had an awful lot of fuel in there. 12,000 oak trees worth of fuel. Enough to set that scaffolding, turn that scaffolding into slag. Black Wolf, hey, Mike, just got up. What's going on? Notre Dame is burning, man. Notre Dame is burning to the ground. 12,000 oak trees worth of wood. turning into one hell of a pile of coal that is creating enough heat to melt the scaffolding above it. Crazy. Only communists deal in absolutes. I don't like the KGB. Of course, it's rough and it gets everywhere. Watch What is Communism on Amazon. You'll see a huge difference between communists and socialists. Yeah, I get my perspective on the difference between communists and socialists from an actual socialist professor at, I don't remember which college it was, but I was watching a lecture series by this guy. And he was pointing out, the end goals. And he was openly advocating for socialism, right? Openly advocating for socialism in his classroom, in his lectures. And he said that and you know what? Friedrich Hayek's book, The Road to Serfdom, confirms this from just an economic perspective, back in the 30s, 40s. But the goal of communism and the goal of socialism are identical: egalitarian utopianism, which is a pipe dream and a lie. It'll never ever happen. The socialists are those who are willing to vote those changes into power, as our socialists in America try to do, and the socialists in Europe try to do. The communists are the impatient ones who believe that, hey, we can just take over the government by force and implement our socialist utopian egalitarian policies at the point of a gun. And that's literally the only difference. Is they have the same end goal, right? But how they want to get there differs. Neither of them realize that their end goal is impossible. And that's why when the communists do end up taking power, it never works out. It never works out. Well, if you do some research, Joe K says, you will see that communism is the final stage of the process going through socialism. USSR was socialistic and not communistic. That doesn't speak well to your argument, because, again, you'll never get to the final stage of the process. The difference between socialism and communism isn't the final stage. Egalitarianism is the final stage. Communism and socialism are routes to get there. Unfortunately, the egalitarianism is an impossible pipe dream. That's why again, look at history, Joe. Every single communist state fails to reach that egalitarian perfection, and usually with tens of millions of bodies in the process. Right? That is why the Chinese switched from an absolute communist state to a bizarre communist, capitalist, fascist, whatever you want to call it, economy. Because the communist economy doesn't exist. There was never a communistic state. That's because it's impossible to... Oh my gosh, you're not listening at all. You just read the Communist Manifesto and you thought, hey, that's a good plan. But it doesn't work, dude. It doesn't work. Communism actually never was realized by socialist governments. They admit it. The Chinese are selling their people out. Well, you know what they're not doing anymore? Is starving them to death by the tens of millions. If that's selling them out, well, it's a heck of a lot better than what they did under communism, isn't it? Mao's Red Book is wild. The USSR was repressive, authoritarian police state, so if it was merely socialistic, it doesn't bode well for a full-blown communism. You know what it also doesn't bode well for? Those who say they're socialists. They are starving, all right. No, they're not. Not the way they did when Mao was in power and it was just all out communist bullcrap. Humans are incapable of utopian states. It will always lead to the gulag and the gas chamber. Absolutely, Zeno the Stoic. You are 100% correct in your assertion. Joke, have you? Yeah, you've been here before. The Great Famine. Yeah, it's funny how communist states always end up starving their people. Interesting. Yes, and socialists too. Socialists too. Oh, am I over an hour already? All right. I just feel like this can keep going because it's live. Oh wow, screen is getting all wiggity waggity whack. All right, guys. This has been cross examinations. It looks like we are going into some weird video mode here that's killing the stream anyway. So, history in the making. Sorry to see it. Comments, questions, leave them in the description. I'm gonna experiment with DLive. I'm still doing some research into it, but I'm experimenting with it, so I'm gonna try to get a account going there. I will drop the link in the description if you guys could join that after the fact. I need 200 subscribers in order to stream from there. So start a new stream and keep going, Mike. I might tonight. I'll be on Order of the Green Hand. We're going to be doing a Game of Thrones roundtable review, and yeah, I might start a new stream. I gotta get another. Oh, actually, you know what? You're right. I have a page I'm currently inking, so I could start a new stream and just be inking on that while we're chatting. You can stream with no followers. It doesn't seem to let me. Maybe I'm experimenting with it, so maybe I just have not figured it out yet. So that's it for this episode of Cross Examinations. Hit that like, hit that share, subscribe if you have not already. I will be back with more of the burning of Notre Dame.